English. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Fred Macedo, and this is my companions, Rosalie and Rosangela. We are so excited to have you here. Today we're going to discuss a random theme of Spiritism in Gospel at Home. But before we get started, I want to ask you a question. Do you know Allan Kardec's doctrine, also known as Spiritist doctrine? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, let's get into it. We start with our Father prayer. Please, Rosangela.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rosangela. So now we're gonna pick a random theme of gospel of gospel according to Spiritism. Do not go to the Gentiles. Jesus sent out his 12, the disciples, after having given them the following instruction: do not go to the Gentiles, and do not enter the cities of the Samaritans. Instead, go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And wherever you go, preach, saying that the kingdom of heaven is near. In many circumstances, Jesus shows that his sights are not limited to Jewish people, but that they encompass all humankind. Therefore, if he told his disciples not to go to the pagans, it was not that he disdained converting them, which would have been uncharitable, but because the Jews who believe in the oneness of God and awaited the Messiah had been prepared by the law of Moses and the prophets to receive his word. Among the pagans, where even the base was lacking, everything needed to be done, and the apostles were not yet sufficient enlightened for such a weighty task. That, that is why he told them, go to the lost sheep of Israel. That is, go and now sow on the ground that has already been prepared, knowing full well that the conversion of the Gentiles will come in its own time. Later, the apostles would in fact plant the cross right in the midst of paganism. These words may be applied to the followers and propagators of Spiritism. Systematic disbelievers, obstinate scoffers, and self-centered adversaries are to them what Gentiles were to the disciples. Thus, in following their example, let us first seek to make converts among persons of goodwill, those who desire the light, in one a fertile seed may be found, and whose numbers are great, without wasting time on those who refuse to see or hear, and who the more importance is attached to their conversion, are all the more obstinate out of pride, It is worth more to open the eyes of 100 blind persons who desire to see clearly than one person who takes pleasure in darkness, because doing so increases to a greater proportion the number of those who will support the cause. Leaving the others alone is not indifference, but good policy. Their time will come when they are persuaded by general opinion, and when they hear the same thing constantly repeated around them. Then they will believe they have accepted the idea voluntarily and by themselves, and not under pressure from someone else. Furthermore, the same thing applies to ideas as applies to seeds. They cannot germinate before the right season and only in a prepared soil. That is why it is better to wait for the propitious time and to first cultivate those that germinate, thus avoiding aborting the others by pushing them too hard. In the time of Jesus, and as a consequence of the narrow-minded and materialistic ideas of those days, everything was circumscribed and localized. The house of Israel was a small nation. The Gentiles were small nations are surrounding it. Today, ideas are universalized and spiritualized. The new light is not a privilege of any one nation. There are no barriers to it. It shines everywhere, and all peoples are brothers and sisters. However, the Gentiles are no longer a people, but an opinion that is found everywhere and over which the truth triumphs little by little, just as Christianity triumphed over paganism. They are no longer combated with weapons of war, but with the power of an idea. Let me stop sharing my screen. So, what can we think about this part where we just read? Uh, when I was converted to Spiritism, the ideas conquered my heart, because when I was presented with the idea of reincarnation, that we have many lives, all started to make sense. I'm not perfect. I suffer for my previous actions in this life and the previous lives that I have before this. And then I can't I can't curse God for my misfortune, for all the things that gone wrong in my life. I have to accept responsibility for everything that I have done, everything that I am, and everything I do to change myself, to change my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. So, when we realize all this, we want to convert the other people. But this is seldom a mistake, because not everyone is prepared to take responsibility of their misfortune, of their life as it is, the suffering all the things that we pass here in earth. So this part of reading says that we don't have to waste time to convert those that don't want to. We have to respect their religion, their beliefs, their ideas, and we have to take care of those that look in us our changes, look in us all that we have accomplished. They they realize that we are happier, that we doesn't care anymore for our losses, for our misfortunes, because we know that all this is temporary. This life is temporary. All our suffering is temporary. When Chico Xavier was suffering a lot, he asked his mentor, Emmanuel, to go to the mother of Jesus, Maria, and seek an answer to his suffering. And when Emmanuel came back of his encounter with Maria, he said to Chico Xavier, the mother of Christ said to you that this shall pass too. So he made a little engraving in wood and put right beside his bed, saying, this shall pass too. So everything in our life will pass. And in summary, we don't have to convert others that doesn't want to. So what we have to do? Make our efforts to change ourselves. Because when I look to other people, trying to convert them to Spiritism, I by projection, I take my energy out of me and put in someone that doesn't want to. So I'm wasting time and energy. So we have to take the energy of ours to improve ourselves, to become good moral people. And then when encounter people that want to know more about Spiritism, want to know more about this great doctrine, then we stop and tell them and ask them to read the Gospel according to Spiritism, the Book of Spirits. We ask them to a reunion in our Spiritist center, and that is it. That's all I have to say about this part. And now I ask you to join me in my little prayers. I say vibrations, but I don't know if this word is fit for what we do. We ask Jesus to embrace all the ones that are suffering now, the spirits that committed suicide, and the reincarnated as us, but the ones that are suffering the most, the ones that suffering obsessions and are thinking about suicide. We ask Jesus to embrace all them to cease their suffering by making amends, by forgiving. And I thank you for watching. I thank Jesus for all, for my life, for this opportunity to offer my very limited knowledge to those who speak English. And I thank you for my companions, Rosangela and Rosalie, for being with me. Please, Rosangela, say the final prayer.
We thank the good spirits who have come to communicate with us and ask them to help us put into practice the instruction they have given us. We also hope they will ensure that each and for us at the end of this session is fortified in the practice of good and love for our neighbor. We also wish the lessons may be useful for the suffering, ignorant, or vicious spirits who were able to attend this meeting and for whom we implore the mercy of God. Good morning. Oh, good night.
Good night, Rosangela, Rosalie. Thank you a lot.
Bye.
Bye.